Square has put the finishing touches on the latest entry in the Final Fantasy series, Final Fantasy X. It's just come out in Japan, and unfortunately US gamers are going to have to wait a little bit of time for it to hit the States, but we've got an early look at the Japanese version of the game, which definitely lets you know that the series is heading in a real good direction. One of the first things you're going to notice when you see Final Fantasy X is just as usual, the really tremendous production values that Square puts into the CG and the graphics and the character design and all the things that really give a game personality. And it's really been something that Square fans have been very attracted to for a long time now. Really, a lot of the benefit of the next generation technology found on the PlayStation definitely comes from the integration of CG and gameplay, which is a lot more seamless this time. And best of all, for those of us that have gotten used to a lot of the loads during battle, they're pretty much gone. The loads during battle are really seamless, and rather than switching to an entirely different screen, what you end up getting is sort of a warp effect, and the meters and everything that you sort of get accustomed to in a battle in a Square game just sort of appear on screen. So it never really takes you out of the game, which is it's a very nice thing. Gameplay also has changed a bit because, as usual, Square is sort of refining their combat engines and just figuring out different ways to let players get into their battle system. This time out, players aren't exactly going to collect experience points at the end of fights. What they end up doing are collecting AP points, which allow them to collect sphere points, which they can then use to power up their characters in sort of a new mini-game that they've included in the game, which is it's almost like a board game where you take the spirit points that you've earned and you go along the board game and you earn different things so you can power up all your various characters. We've got a look at just a piece of the board, and it's massive, so there definitely seems to be a lot there to explore for people. And in addition to the standard game, FF10 also has the mini games that people have come to, enjoy in Square games. There's a Chocobo racing mini game, the sphere board that I mentioned that helps you power up your characters, and Blitzball, which is a sport that the lead character Titus engages in, and there are points in the game where you'll have to play it. And there's a fairly in-depth tutorial to show you how to play the game within it. And there are other small little nuances to the gameplay that are a little different, I think, from other Final Fantasy games. Over the course of the game, players will collect these books that help them decipher a language in the game, and it's going to be pretty challenging because each book that you discover will only give you sort of insight into a few pieces of that language. So what you're going to be finding is, as you progress through the game and you find books, only part of the language is making sense to you because you haven't been able to decipher the whole thing. In terms of characters for the game, what you're looking at is a lot of the really, in some ways, classic Square designs. Not so much the way they're designed, but the archetypes that you're finding. You've got your warriors and your spellcasters, and everybody has just those little things, I think, that will appeal to people. One character, Lulu, definitely has ties to previous Square games in that she carries little dolls with her. What we've seen has been a Moogle and a Cactroot, which she actually uses in combat to one degree or another, which is kind of cool for people that are big fans of them. And of course, in this game, there's Chocobo. These are the more classic-looking Chocobo, less the cutesy ones, which you will actually be using to ride around in the game as well. Probably one of the nicer things is that, even though it's not out yet, Square has sort of tried to take advantage of what they can of the PlayStation 2 that's available to them. So the game will actually be compatible with the PlayStation 2 hard drive in some way. They haven't been very detailed as to how, but it'll probably have something to do with loading, etc. But it's definitely a nice touch. As it stands right now, the game is shooting for an early 2002 release in the States. they still have a lot of voice integration that they have to do, because this will now be the second Square game, but the first Final Fantasy game that's actually had voice acting in it, because traditionally, up until now, it's just been text. So this is definitely a new direction for them, and it's one of a few new directions in the game. As I mentioned, the combat system's changed a bit, and they're definitely doing some really cool experiments with the music that will probably surprise like longtime fans, because it's maybe not something that they're accustomed to hearing in a Square game, especially a Final Fantasy game. So it will definitely be one of the most beautiful PlayStation games when it hits, because as usual, Square sets standards, well above other people's. And it will definitely be something that RPG fans and even PlayStation owners that are just curious as to, what the whole Final Fantasy series is about, if they haven't gotten into it yet, should definitely check out, because it's a cool game and it's also a cool showcase for the system.